Good morning. Today is the 7th of March 2025 and I'm going to go through levels I'm watching today. Before we start, let's look to see what news could move the market. We did have non-farm payrolls come at 8:30. We saw a big reaction to that. Seems to be a bit of a negative reaction. And we have an unemployment rate come in later on today. Oh, well, look at this. We have a lot of Fed speakers. quarter past 10, quarter to 11, 20 past 12, 12:30, and then again at 1 o'clock. So it could be a difficult day for trading. Might see a lot of movement. So keep an eye on 12:30. That's when Powell speaks as well. So that could be the big one. Okay, so let's look at levels for today. On the ES, which is the S&P E-mini futures, and we're currently looking at the start off with a daily time frame so we can see where we are. And as you can see, we're in this bit of a daily downtrend. We've lost the 200 moving average. We did lose it, came back and reclaimed it, and then we lost it again. So we're now looking for a potential. Let's look at the weekly, see if there's any major areas. Okay, so we do have this area here, 59. Let's just mark that up as a weekly level. We've broken that weekly level there as well, so that's an area which we were paying attention to. So the next area of confluence is here. We've got a little bit of volume coming in, so 5600, 5527 area is our next area on watch. That's if we get down there. We may not even get down to that region, but we have got this area of confluence as well to keep an eye on. Potentially looking for a break and retest short. We do have volume coming in on the last 2 weeks as well, and as you can see, we've lost the weekly 50. Normally we come down, touch it, bounce, but we are currently just below it, but the week's not finished yet. We still could see a bottom tail candle if we have a green day today. Let's go back to the hourly and find some levels. Interesting to see RSI, we're in this lower region, not quite oversold just yet. This area seems to be a key area as well, what we marked up yesterday. We broke through it, came back up, we held it, put in this double top and then lost it again. So let's just find some areas today. So I want to keep an eye on this yesterday's high area for a potential rejection. We could probably go down into the 15 to find a better area. Here we go, so it's a good area there. Let's mark it up. So what I'm looking for is a move in one direction and a big move in the opposite direction, and that's how we mark my areas of supply and demand. So let's keep an eye on this 5807 through to 5820 area for a potential rejection. I want to see the market move into this area, come back out, and then maybe come out like that. And then I'll be looking to either get an entry just there, or if we pull back into this region, entry there, or maybe add there. That'd be an ideal scenario for how I want to take that play. If we can break out of a pre-market high, I'll be looking for a break and retest long into this region. And same pre-market low, higher probability because we are in this hourly downtrend. Break and retest of pre-market low into yesterday's low. And then do we have an area of, let's get rid of that. Let's mark up our demand area. It's not really a big demand. Look at, there's no big reaction. Looking for a small. We can keep an eye on that area where we are in pre-market low, but I prefer to see something that looks a bit like this. This area here come in. That's an area. That's why we had that area marked up a minute ago. Come in and then the big reaction, but we've not really had a big reaction here. But you can see that was an area of demand, held its demand, and then we broke through, which became an area of supply, and we couldn't get over that area. Let's just it's Friday as well, don't forget, so we don't really want to go into the weekend on a red day, so we just want to take it nice and easy and and we don't have any. I think we've got anything to the left for a long time. We've got that area there. Let's mark that up. Where are we? Oh, we're nowhere near that area. We're all the way down here. Let's go back to the hourly. What I'm trying to do is find an area where we could see a potential bounce, and we're currently sitting here with volume as well, with nothing really. That's where we are right now. It is an area of confluence. Look at there's a big amount of volume in that area as well, but we're just below that. And if I were to look for a bounce, it would be this region here, where we've got this level marked up. Let's just mark it anyway. And I like that zone there. You see we moved into it, then we had that big reaction. And if we zoom out, back to where we were. So that's the area we can watch if we're looking for a bounce later. 5600 psychological number, 5560 area. That's postman. Okay, so let's just come up with a plan for today. Break and retest a pre-market high into yesterday's high, where we'll be watching this area for a rejection, 55,800, so 5800, 5820. Otherwise, break and retest a pre-market low, but really want to see it take out yesterday's low, come back in and retest. And that's the only two areas I'm watching. And then we haven't got anything then. If we are short, maybe we could ride it down. We are running out of steam a bit. Notice how we had big volume come in as we were selling off here, and then we had reduced volume the last couple of days. Maybe we're going to go sideways for a bit and then continue either down, or we could see a bounce. Let's go and look at SPY quickly. In fact, before we do that, let's look at cumulative delta, because there's a little bit of a divergence happening right now. So you can see here, price is in a downtrend, cumulative delta was going sideways, and then it was in an uptrend. So potentially, if we're looking for a reversal, this is the area, if we can believe what we're seeing in pre-market hours. Maybe that we are in that current area of demand right now, that demand zone, so maybe we might be just seeing the beginnings of accumulation, waiting for us to make that next move up. Let's just go back to, now we've seen that, let's just quickly go back to ES. And here we go. So potentially we're looking at cumulative delta divergence, and let's just quickly screenshot that. We do have a lot of Fed speakers today, so it'll be interesting to see. Just taking a screenshot. Let's just load it so we can see both at the same time. So this is the area we're watching here. This is our current area of demand. If we're looking for a bounce in this area, then this will be setting up exactly what we wanted to be setting up to. So this is what I'm looking for. We've got aggressive buying coming in here, but the price is selling off. So the seller's absorbing all these aggressive buying, but we've not put in any major, we've not put in a new pivot low. We're kind of sitting in that area. And so once all the sellers are dried up and the buyers continue buying, then we could see that bounce out of this zone. That's one way to look at it, one scenario. Okay, so let's just look at SPY next then. SPY is the same levels as ES really. Let's look for a bounce in that region, a break and retest if we lose yesterday's low, break and retest a pre-market high into this overhead area. We've got two areas to watch, that area and yesterday's high area for rejection 580 and 584. SPX levels, looking out for a bounce yesterday right off of the level we've had marked up for some time. So again, these levels are working out as expected. We're in this downtrend still, and we're below the 50 and below the 200, so hard to try and find longs right now, but we have this great bounce area from yesterday, and we're pretty much coming back into yesterday, so we'll probably be opening up around this area. So another reason why we could be looking at divergence on ES right now is because we are looking for a potential bounce when the market opens. Potentially, we won't know that. So okay, so that's the SPX levels. NQ, we've got this new area of demand. Let's just move that across here, although it's not the best area because we didn't have the biggest reaction like we did when we bounced at this point. So keep an eye on this area for a potential bounce. If we lose this area, then we watch for the break and retest short. Break and retest over pre-market high into the yesterday's high area for potential short, and then we've got this region, it's 26,600 to 2700. We can watch for a potential rejection as well. Again, notice we are below the 200 moving average, downward trailing, so trying to find longs which are not scalps are going to be hard, because until we can break out over this 200, then it's going to be quite difficult trying to find longs. So I'm favouring, sorry, I got hiccups. I'm prioritising maybe some short setups today, like the rejections up here, than longs. QQQ, still in this downtrend. If we can break yesterday's low and then come back into pre-market low, watch for a break and retest short. We'll have a look at volume, and we'll look at volume profile and levels below. Watch for the breakout of pre-market high, which will be breaking this trend line, and then potentially we've got yesterday's high area. We can watch this area here for rejection at 497. And then let's just go to the daily. Our next bounce area is probably not too far away. This region here, 485.50 for the bounce. Draw that down to the hourly. And if I were to draw a demand zone, it'd probably be that area there, because what we had a big reaction, smaller candle, potentially down here as well. Let's draw the entire zone and let's see what that looks like. Oh, here we go, so we're right in that area anyway. So we touched it a few days ago, broke through it, and we're holding it. So potentially we can watch for a bounce in this region. Again, I've not got cumulative delta divergence for NQ, but we can watch for a bounce. Otherwise, let's just stick with break and retest of pre-market high, low and low and high. Oil, is that broken trend? It's broken the shorter trend there. Kind of, it depends where you want to draw it. Most touches, I like to go with the most touches around there. So this is our trend line. We've only broken the local trend line. We could be looking at a inverse head and shoulders pattern. That's the neckline there. Break, retest into this region for the long. Otherwise, just keep an eye for break and retest of pre-market high, and then break of the low, And then we do have yesterday's low area and the previous day's low for a bounce area 65.20. Gold, glorious gold, is just doing sideways, putting in this kind of megaphone pattern right now, something like that. We can clearly see the resistance, this region here, and let's just draw it. You can really clearly see it because you can draw a straight line going back several weeks. Was support and then became resistance, or was the floor then became the ceiling. If we can break out over this area, come back and retest. Let's look for the long to retest these new all-time highs. Otherwise we can watch this area for potential rejection again. How many times do you want to knock on the door until we break through? Who knows? But it's definitely a clear area here, and we got this region here as well. We can watch for a break and retest short. So we break pre-market low at 29.09. Let's watch for the breakdown into 2900. So basically what we're watching for is we need to see the market do something outside of this region. Either we're going to break out, continue the uptrend, or break down and continue this downtrend. Just bearing in mind, was that a high? Equal high there, and then this could act as a lower high if it does carry on going down. RTY is still quite clearly in the downtrend, but we are holding this level, so this is our current support right now. So we can keep an eye on this region for potential bounce. 25.050. We've got this area of demand. We're looking at the hourly, so it might be we can probably define it better on the 15-minute. We've also got twice we've bounced in that area, so we can watch for a bounce in this region. If we lose this region, then we watch for the break and retest short. If we can get over yesterday's high, then we also get over the pre-market high today, and we've got a potential long break and retest. And we can probably look to target these pivots, maybe the 200 moving average coming into that area. Notice though the lack of volume to the left in this void, and we probably won't get too much resistance until we get up into this region here. This is where the point of control is. So it might be a good long if we can break out over pre-market high. If it doesn't do that today, keep an eye on it for Monday. YM, which is the Dow Jones. Exactly the same. You can clearly see this area of support. We've got the point of control, or not the point of control, we've got a volume profile. It's not a very good rectangle. Let's draw it again. This region here. We might find it hard breaking out over that area purely because that's where the volume is. But if we can, just watch for the break and retest long. Watch for the break and retest outside of this area. Otherwise we can watch this area also for a bounce. 42,500, kind of a psychological number, it's a midway number. 4,200 down here, we're a bit far off from that, so we just need to break out of that zone before we can find any good plays. And then finally Bitcoin, what do we see? We saw the makings of an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. And then we had that big gap up, and so it depends whether you want to include that gap up as part of it. And then if it is a head and shoulders pattern, then we've just witnessed a break and retest of the neckline. We've broken that trend, we've broken that trend. Let's draw a trend line in there, we're holding that, that's our trend line to keep an eye on. So I like break and retest of yesterday's high long. I do like the break and retest of pre-market high into yesterday's high. Maybe we can look for an add if we break and retest. However, if we lose pre-market low and yesterday's low, let's look for a break and retest down to continue this trend down. And that's pretty much it. Let's flick back to ES. You can see this is the cumulative delta divergence. This is our bounce area we're watching for right now. Also, it's a break and retest short area. If I'm looking for a bounce, then this is exactly what I'm looking for, some sort of cumulative delta. Decrease in price, increase in delta. So potentially we have got a bounce on the cards here. Obviously we need other confirmations, such as a buy setup or some other pattern you want to buy the bounce on. But for me, or even an opening range breakout, something like that, and increase in volume. So if we're buying it on the 5, if we're looking for the breakout, we want to see a big volume push there, especially if we're going to break out of the 15-minute opening range or something like that. I like to volume will give you a little bit more confirmation, and that's pretty much it. I will be around on the live order flow stream, which looks a bit like the screen we've just been looking at. If you want any questions, leave me a message on there. In the description there should also be the link to the new Discord. It's not populated with much info yet, but if you want to use that for questions or any queries, then please do. Okay, I'll be back Monday, and have a nice weekend.